Hi guys, this is a quick podcast just to show you how to use Audacity. So without a further ado, I will just quickly show you. There's the Audacity icon there with the headphones, so give it a double click and open it up. So cool. What we've got, before I do anything else, we're going to save our file that we're about to create. So I'm going to quickly click File, Save Project As. I'm going to choose my location where I'm going to save it to. I'm going to save mine on my hard drive. And I'm going to go to How to Podcast, and then I'm just going to quickly say Audacity How To. So Audacity is a really simple program. Basically, it's more like a tape recorder for your computer, and it's got a sort of few extra functions as well, which are really handy. But you'll see things that you recognise straight away. So you've got rewind, play, record, pause, stop, and fast forward. And we're going to start just by actually recording a really simple sound. So I'm just going to press record and away it goes. So it's just recording me as I talk, and you can see they've got the seconds moving across the top there. And let's say that I forget what I'm going to say next. I'm going to pause myself because I do actually forget what I'm going to say next quite a lot of the time. So it's just paused for a second, give me time to think, have a drink of water or whatever. And if I want to carry on being recorded, I just press pause and off it goes again. Now, at the end of my podcast, or let's say that right now I'm just thinking about what I'm going to do next, and I'm like, oh no, sugar, I've made a mistake, so I need to do a little bit of editing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly click stop, and I'm going to play that sound back from wherever I want to. Now this mistake probably happened in the last sort of 10 seconds, so I'm going to start clicking it there. And so I just click the cursor where I want to start playing, and click play. So it seems, I think I'll just play it back again, and I'm going to pause it where I want to get rid of it. So now, at the end of my podcast, or let's say that right now I'm just thinking about. Right, so I really want to say at the end of the podcast. So I think the end of the podcast was just about there. Now, at the end of my podcast, or let's. So I'm just going to get rid of this bit here because that's a bit that I don't want to have in anymore. So what I did was I just basically really simply just clicked the cursor there, and then I clicked and held down the left button of my mouse and dragged it across, and then click delete on my keyboard. And that's not working because I've not clicked stop, so I'm just going to click stop there and then click delete, and that should basically have deleted it. So if I just quickly go back, play back again, I'm going to pause, I just press pause and off it goes again. Now at the end of my podcast, okay, so that's cool. So now I want to carry on at the end of my podcast, so I'm just going to quickly click the cursor back at the end and then click record again, and away I go again. So at the end of the podcast, like I was just saying, I'm going to show you quite a lot of stuff. So I'm going to show you how to edit things just like that, and I'm going to show you how to put the tracks back together and so on. So I am again wondering what I'm going to say next, so I'm going to pause it there and I'm going to click stop. Okay, so now we've got a couple of tracks of sound. We've got that first track I'm hovering over with my mouse at the minute, and then we've got, if I quickly drag the screen across there, we've got another track there. And so far what we've learned to do is just use record, pause and stop, and we've learned to delete a bit of sound for, say, example, if we make a mistake or something like that, just by hovering over it, dragging the cursor across it and pressing delete on a keyboard, providing that stop button's been pressed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to carry on recording. I'm going to make a few more tracks. So we've got about 4 or 5. So I want to record from about there. So I click the cursor just there and I click record again, and away we go. And I'm going to click stop there because all I want to do right now is just to generate a few tracks. So I'm going to click there where I want the next recording to start, and I'm going to click record again, and I'm going to click stop. And this time, just to show you what happens if I don't sort of click the end of the track, if I just click record again, it just records again at the same time as the previous one, but that's not a problem. We'll look at that in a second. So there we go, I've stopped it. Now what we've got is we've got a number of different tracks. We can see we've got one all the way up here, we've got a second one just below it, and they're all very sort of spread out. So what I really want to do is actually bring them all so they're in a place where I can see them, and there's a couple of ways I can do that. So the first thing I want to do is, instead of this being so huge here, is I want to make it a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to hover over it with my cursor till it changes into that little double arrow. Then I'm going to hold down my left mouse key, mouse pad button, and I'm going to just move up. and I'm going to do the same with all of these. So I've basically just sort of compressed them a little bit, just squashing them up. I don't really need to see them all. I'm not going to be doing too much with the things. I'm not editing the sounds or anything right now, so I've got them all on the screen. That's squashed them up and down, but the problem is now that they're still really big left and right. So to make them easier to see in that respect, I'm going to use the zoom function, which are these two buttons I'm just hovering over here. So there's zoom in. I can make it look even bigger, or I'm wanting to make it look smaller, so I'm going to zoom out. So if I quickly just keep clicking on that, it eventually zooms it out. So what I've got is I've got my different tracks. There's the first, the second, the third, the fourth, and then the fifth one. You can see overlaps there. If I actually just quickly click play there, and that's a bit chaotic because both of these two guys down here are playing at the same time. So what I'm going to want to do is move this track of sound a little bit over this way. Now to do that, it's really simple. I just quickly go over to these buttons here, and I go to this one here that looks like an arrow going left and right. It's called the time shift tool. Just quickly give one click of my left mouse button key, go down, hover over that little track, and just click and hold my left mouse button key down, and if I do that, I can move it anywhere I like. So I'm just going to move it so it's about level with that, and that's all good. So once I've done that little moving of the sound a bit, maybe I just want to quickly zoom in, make sure that that's not sort of slightly overlapped. To do that, simple. Just zoom in. We can see we've got a bit of an overlap there, so I'll just drag it across, and then that seems quite neat. So what this might look like if you're making a podcast for your class or whatever is you've basically got lots of different parts of the podcast where you've said something, you've stopped it, that's one track, another track, and then at the end you're just going to zip it all together so it makes one big lot of sound. And we can play it from the start now. I'm just going to just zoom out again so we can see them all. And to play it, I need to quickly select my cursor button back again. So let's just go into this one here, one click of the mouse, and then I'm just going to select from where I want to play from, and then simple as just click play.
And away it goes, so it's just recording me as I talk.
And if I want to pause it, just pause it, and maybe I just want to listen to make sure that the junctions are okay between the two different tracks, this one and this one. So that's how we go. I'll just unpause it.
Across the top there, and let's say that I forget what I'm going to say next.
So that didn't work at all, so I had to stop it, then choose a new place to play from, and then click play. So here we go.
Podcast, and away I go again. So at the end of the podcast, like I was just saying.
Seems fine. I'll check the next one maybe, just for.
I say next, so I'm going to pause it again, and away we go.
So that one there seems like it needs moving a little bit over, so I'll quickly select the time shift tool, and I haven't stopped it. It's important to stop it every time I do this. My time shift tool again, and just quickly nudge that over, which is probably going to mean I need to nudge them all over a little bit. Okay.
So I'm going to pause it again, and away
That's it, too bad. So basically now what I've done is I've created here, I've got just over 40 seconds of sound, and you might have 10 minutes, and lots of different sort of tracks there lined up. Now that's all good, you've done it on Audacity, but now what you want to do is create it into an Mp3 file. An Mp3 file is just like a piece of music that can be stored on a computer, and when people listen to iPods, that's what they're listening to. They're listening to Mp3 files most of the time. So to do that, it's really, really easy. Again, the whole thing about this software is really simple to use. You just quickly go over to File, click it down, just save what you've done again. So we've now saved our thing, and we've saved it as Audacity How To. It's a file name, and now what I want to do is click File again, and just go down to Export as MP3. Now this couldn't be, it's just like saving a file, so click on that, and that's my name. Yeah, that's what I want to call it, Audacity How To, and you'll notice it says MP3 at the end now, and click Save. And I ignore this bit, I don't know what it's for, so I just click OK, and it is now just saving that file as an MP3. So I can open that up if I just quickly go to my computer, and I'll show you exactly what it looks like now. And we can see there, Audacity How To MP3. And if I click this, it's going to open up the player, the music player on my computer, which I've got is iTunes. It might be different on yours. I'll just give that a double click.
Away it goes, so it's just recording me as I talk
And that's not me talking, that's the podcast playing.
Seconds moving across the top.
And there we go. So basically then, once I've got that file on my computer, I can save it onto the internet, onto YouTube or something like that. I can give it to my students, they can put it on their iPods. And if I do a lesson in March that I want my students to know about in December when they've got an assessment, then it's a really good way of me recording it and then keeping a copy of it. And let's say that, sometimes our students have been known to switch off in class. Well, that's not so bad anymore, because if they switch off when you say it the first time, they can listen to it the second time, or they can listen to it when they're driving their car or going to the gym, which is the sort of things that my students say that they do as they're preparing for tests and stuff. So I hope that was useful. It's just a really simple thing to use, simple tool on the internet, way of recording yourself and recording little bits of information. You can put photos with this, and that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit more as time goes on. But I'm all done with Audacity now, so I'm just going to close that down, and that's all. Thank you.